On a final word today, a man who's played 39 test matches for England, taking 142 wickets, 5 times collecting 5 wickets in an innings. A first-class career on the cusp of a milestone, 495 victims all up at that level. The majority of those in a career into its 14th season at Somerset, but a journey at Taunton that goes all the way back to the very start of his life nearly 34 years ago. Throw in one of the most celebrated cameos with the bat in England Test history, a spinner who in many ways is defined by his resilience, who keeps on keeping on. Of course, it's Jack Leach. Here we go again. Start of a new season. April is dawning. I'm sure your spinning fingers are twitching. Round one beginning this week. How do you feel?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think we're all ready for the first game. So, always an exciting time of the year, and yeah, all preparations done, and almost just buzzing to get going now.
I suppose last year, having just for a moment there, looking like you had that elusive county championship within your grasp. Not that you need motivation down there, of course, never having won the thing before, but having a group of players who you know can compete at the very top of Division One.
Yeah, definitely. I think last year was a great year for us. I think I guess there's two parts to last year. Obviously, putting ourselves in that position in all the competitions, and then sort of reflecting on how we maybe do the last couple of weeks better
Hmm.
if that opportunity comes again. And obviously, we've got a lot of hard work to do to put ourselves in that position. And then hopefully, with that experience, we can sort of take that one step further.
I did wonder over the weekend, thinking about our conversation today, there was the Sheffield Shield final in Adelaide that went all the way to the end. It was a terrific conclusion to their season.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of thing would work over here, where the top two teams play off for the county championship? I know, of course, that's not the culture and that's not the way it's done over here, but from a player's perspective, would you like the idea of like a one-off final where it's winner takes all?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think we saw the celebrations yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning.
Mm.
And we thought, how cool would that be to kind of be part of that? And I think there'd be quite a similar reaction down here if we were to go and do it because we've never done it before. So yeah, I mean that final does. Yeah, it's a great kind of spectacle, I guess, and something that might be worth looking at. But no, I think you want to see the best team over the season sort of win. And yeah, I think Surrey have obviously done that for four times in a row now. So
Mm.
they've really set the benchmark, and it's up to the other teams to try and make some ground on them.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because Somerset have been, what is it? You've come second 6 times in the last 20 years or something like that. A lot of
Mm,
those in the time when you've
yeah.
been playing for the club since 2012. That weight of expectation that one day you will do it, but
Yeah.
it's not as easy as what it should be on paper, is it? In reality, these things are so difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I think some of those seconds have been where you feel like you're in with a real chance of winning, and they probably hurt more. I think some of them have been sort of coming from nowhere, and you end up second. So yeah, I think it's just that motivation just gets more and more, to try and win the thing, and but also we have big aspirations in the other competitions as well, and I think we're a club that's always trying to um, win all three competitions at the start of the year and not sort of go down one route. Yeah, we'll keep trying to win lots of games and see where that sort of takes us towards the end of the season.
And with you personally being such a senior player in that dressing room, having delivered last year and having pretty much a full season back down at Taunton playing county cricket, but over a long stretch of time as well, like feeling like
Mm.
you can kind of take the season by the scruff of the neck and make a real impression early on.
Yeah, that's always the plan. I think. Yeah, I definitely feel older in that dressing room now.
Mm.
We've got some great young talent, and yeah, definitely one of the senior guys now. So, kind of want to take that bit more responsibility, I guess. And yeah, that's an exciting challenge. And yeah, I guess there's always challenges, and they kind of change as you go through your career. So yeah, I'm excited to try and build on what I did last year, and yeah, if the team's in a good place, then that's all I really care about.
Funny thing with finger spinners, you go through the history of the game, and many of them actually peak in their mid 30s and beyond. And I
Mm.
wonder whether that's something you've thought about, whether you can become the best version of yourself in the next few years. Now, I mentioned in the intro, you're nearly 34, but it may well be that your best cricket is still ahead of you.
Definitely, I think when I was sort of 25, 26, I was in the second team at Somerset, and I remember thinking, there wasn't an awful lot of spinners around, and
Hmm.
um, I remember thinking Graham Swan was a bit of a hero of mine and played when he was sort of 29, 30 in the test stuff. And so my aim was sort of, can I play for England by the time I'm 30? And then um, sort of got my head down, and I think it was 26 I made my debut. So it happened a lot quicker than I thought, and yeah. So I guess you still feel like you're always learning, and definitely I still feel like I'm learning every day, and hopefully my best stuff's still to come. And yeah, that's my aim, is to keep bowling well, and yeah, just like really enjoying my craft actually, and learning more about spin, and finding different ways to get guys out. So yeah, that's exciting.
Are you still kind of obsessed with it? I know, again, finger spinners have the reputation of being some of the quirkier members of dressing rooms, and getting yeah, quite obsessed with their craft, given it's, I suppose, elusive than well, not elusive is the wrong word, isn't it? It's less mercurial than wrist spin, and there's an expectation that you do one thing extremely well over and over again, and trying to find a marginal gain or a little bit of an edge. And is that your
Yeah.
personality as well?
I would say so, yes, and I think my teammates would probably agree with that. I think, yeah, I probably can sort of take it a bit too far at times. I mean, I'm always caught bowling in any sort of reflection or mirror and trying to sort of see and feel what I'm doing. And yeah, I kind of think that kind of quest to sort of get better is just in me now, and I think the challenge actually is to let that go a little bit as well, and kind of trust the work that you have done. And yeah, that's why I'm so keen for the season to get going, because I have had a couple of months now of good practice, and yeah, just excited to kind of put that into onto the field, and see how it works.
I think one of the reasons why your story is so charming is that it does go back to the very start there at Taunton. Mentioned that you were there from, what, doesn't the story go, you were taken along as a baby to a county game or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah, that's right. My dad took me down when I was 2 weeks old to watch my first game there, and then sort of grew up throughout my childhood watching Somerset. Trez was a big hero of mine, and yeah, so watched an awful lot of cricket down there, and yeah, I just feel like I was a Somerset fan really, and then it all kind of, my cricket went a bit further than I thought it would, and ended up playing for Somerset. Yeah,
And came through in the same generation as Joss Butler, who you've played quite a lot with England, but has been England's white ball
yeah,
captain, perhaps England's greatest white ball player ever, come to think of it.
yeah.
Was he always a freak when you were kids growing up? Was he always the kind of guy who could do what no one else could?
Yeah, definitely. I remember him in the academy days. He was he'd actually have net sessions left-handed, and like the whole session, and I was thinking he shapes up way better than me left-handed. So um yeah, he was a bit of a rare talent, I guess, and yeah, to see what he's done is incredible. And like, still he's had his challenges along the way, and he's a great kind of, I guess, example to me, and inspiration, the way he's gone about things, and the way he's dealt with challenges. And yeah, I guess for all his talent, he's also got a lot of resilience as well, and that's
Mm.
something I definitely look up to.
That contrast in the two different disciplines, right? Someone who's an extravagant batter and someone who's a, landed in a shoebox spinner. Joss goes off and has that type of career, and in your earlier days, again, sort of famously, part of your narrative that you were parking trolleys, working part time at a supermarket, trying to have enough money together to keep doing what you love doing, which was bowling on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was during academy days. I was yeah, I needed a bit of work, so I was working at Sainsbury's, not just trolleys. I did checkouts, and stack the shelves as well. So yeah, that was, I guess, all those experiences kind of develop you as a person, I think, and kind of make you realize what you want in life. And yeah, academy was like a special couple of years actually. I think for all of our developments, there's quite a few that came off the academy in my year and got contracts. I wasn't one of them. I went to university, but I think those couple of years I had, Jason Kerr was academy
Mm.
director, and Darren Vaness was the S&C coach, and I think the combination of those two and the influence they had on me was, and probably some of the other boys, was big in terms of our developments, and maybe where we ended up going in our careers.
It's quite common for spinners to become pros and find themselves in the queue with more senior players, given there's only usually space for one, maybe one and a half spinners in a
Yeah,
4-day team. Well, maybe not quite so much down where you play, where there's often two in the side, but that's
yeah.
a whole different conversation. But nevertheless, the having to wait your turn between 2012 and 2016 when you become Somerset's number one, and having to, as you say, play in the second team, and having to believe that one day your turn would come.
Yeah, definitely, and I think I always say that about spinners. I think on the field you've got to be patient, but off the field as well, and in getting your opportunity. And yeah, that was definitely the case for me. And I think I spent that time kind of learning from the spinners that were playing in the first team at Somerset and bowling lots in the nets and playing lots of second team and just building up the overs really and learning my skill. And yeah, I played for Dorset, minor county stuff as well, a little bit. And so just getting as much cricket in as possible. I think playing for Taunton Dean on a Saturday as a younger guy in the men's team as well, I think all really useful experiences. Kind of, men turn up to a 15-year-old boy bowling spin and they're going to try and whack them. So I think, again, learning that kind of resilience on the field to get hit for six and then how to deal with that was probably, well, Jay still talks about it now. That was, he felt, was one of my big strengths, was actually I'd get hit for six and then I'd bowl even like maybe slower or the same ball again and maybe get them out. So I think as I've got the expectations rise and I say I'm playing for England and I come back to county cricket and I'm like, oh, I can't get hit, like, and actually you lose a little bit of that. And I think actually, again, maybe the last year or so has been about rediscovering that and bowling spin how I did as a younger guy and with little expectation and kind of trying to do that. It's hard, but I think it's the best way.
It's probably what sets apart elite spinners from the spinners down the pyramid. Like, I get hit for six, and there's no way the next ball I bowl is going to be slower than the one before it, right? Like normal cricketers on a Saturday or a Sunday don't
Yeah,
have that presence of mind, whereas top level spinners can be hit for six and smile about it. Remember at one point last year when doing part of Glenn Maxwell's book, he's like, often my best ball will be hit for six. I need to be
yeah,
at peace with that. Suppose it's the
yeah.
same for you, especially when in the shorter formats when they're trying to size you up and you need to find a way to calm yourself at the top of your mark and make sure your next ball has more of a chance of dismissing the batter.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think, if we take away as a spinner, if we bowl a ball that doesn't have any spin, any drop, any drift, these are the things that are these are our weapons. So, if we bowl a flat dart, like, then actually it's probably going to be easier to hit. There's more pace on the ball for the batter to hit it. So I think trying to remember those things, that actually if I've got any chance, I need to try and bowl this ball with something on it, then yeah, that's kind of a good place to be.
Where patience is an important part of being a spinner is adapting to when a game is speeding up, or indeed when a career is speeding up. And so it proves for you the 2016 breakout season, 68 wickets at 22, which are phenomenal numbers for a spinner in first class cricket. So you go from not having been in the first team the year before to being thrusted onto the England radar, going on a Lions tour, and being not far away from a test spot, which comes a season after that again. So that roller coaster ride of very quickly being a name that everybody knows of on the England circuit and doing it so well throughout the course of 2016.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think I think looking back at that, I probably, well, no, it was great fun, and getting lots of wickets. I think the the challenge with that is when you're on the kind of journey to playing for England, everyone's just commenting on your good stuff, and you're getting lots of good press, I guess, and then you'll have a bad game, and that will kind of get ignored, and then so it tells that it's trying to tell a certain narrative that you should be playing for England. So all your good stuff's commented on, and I think when you get into the England stuff, that's something to get used to. Is actually everything is commented on, and everything is judged, and it's there for everyone to see. So yeah, that's kind of, I found that interesting, that kind of journey to getting there, and actually how fun that was, because there's nothing to lose. It's just everything is good.
And sort of half joking about it, but like the reputation of Taunton at the time, the
Yeah,
Hyderabad and all the rest of it. I guess when you get there, this is some guy that can do it down at Somerset where they're preparing raggers every week. Can he do it
yeah,
on a flatty? And
yeah.
I guess when you arrive at test level, that's more likely to be the condition. So having to defy expectations every time you take a step up.
Yeah, and funny, I said this recently actually. When when I first played for England, I remember people saying to me, and me saying as well, like, "Oh, I won't do anything different. I've been picked because I've done well at county cricket, and I just need to do the same thing." And then I probably spent the next 5 years trying to change everything I did. Yeah, I was kind of a big hypocrite in terms of what I said and what I probably did. And I think, it's important to take things from other spinners around the world and trying to kind of, I guess, get better all the time. But I think there's a subtle difference between trying to get better and trying to change everything. And I think at times I've been guilty of the second one. And yeah, I don't know whether that's being good in terms of I'm always trying to get better, but like I think mentally it can be challenging to kind of like do that. And I think that's what, again, maybe the next couple of years and what's to come is like hopefully me just being myself and bowling how I can bowl and bowling my best stuff. And yeah, that's exciting. And yeah, I mean, it was all kind of, I think, bowling on the wickets that I bowled out on at Taunton, a few of them, and the subcontinent, like similar, I think, kind of suited my style of bowling. And then it was kind of like how I bowled on those really flat test wickets and tried to get things out of them. So that's kind of where I was trying to develop, I guess.
There's another side of this where, so I think Nathan Lyon has commented on this when he was earlier in his career, when he bowled on a pitch that was clearly going to turn more, that sometimes didn't fire for him. It was like the expectation of automatically being able to bowl teams out when you're a spinner on a pitch that's going to spin from ball one can kind of work counterintuitively the other way. But I suppose with you being so consistent and having made a name for yourself, as I said before, kind of landing it in a shoebox, that you were able to control things and play things on your terms pretty much straight away.
Yeah, and I think bowling on those wickets kind of simplified everything for me. It was like I just need to be very accurate, and that was my big strength, kind of growing up, I guess, and kind of let the wicket do what it was doing, and one would sort of skid on and one would spin, and it was kind of quite a simple game plan for me. And also, yeah, with that kind of expectation not too high, those things felt quite easy. And yeah, it was great fun. But yeah, I think then and actually it helped me then on wickets that were probably okay, like pretty good wickets away from home. I was still
Mm,
picking up wickets, I didn't pick up 68 wickets or whatever all at home. So
mm.
I think that's what people forget. I always reminding myself of like where I'd got my other 5 wicket hauls, and they were all at like match grounds, and that gave me confidence that if I made the step up, what I did would work.
It's a funny one where I mentioned 39 test matches you've played in the 7 years of your test career. I would say for the majority of that, you've been seen as England's number one, owing to a whole series of circumstances. You could have played 70 or 80 test matches by now. You've probably missed more than you've played, taken as a
Mm.
whole. And that begins fairly early, right? You make your debut for England in 2018 in Christchurch, but then injury, which opens the door to your Somerset teammate, Don Bess, who
Yeah.
plays against Pakistan. And I guess that's a bit of a theme, isn't it? Two Somerset bowlers vying for one spot in the England side. But it has meant that when you've been fit, available, ready to go, and picked, it's been essential that you've been able to perform. And going back to the very start of your career in 2018 in Sri Lanka, when you guys go over there and win 3-0, you pick up a 5 for at Candy, an 8-wicket match, having that
Yeah.
sense of belonging when you've actually been in the right place at the right time to do your best bits.
Yeah, that was a great series to be part of, and to bowl with Mo and Rash in a three-man spin attack over there, and yeah, to win 3-0 was just yeah, really really exciting for me, and because I think I played my debut in New Zealand, and then yeah, I didn't get
Mm.
back in until that. So yeah, um, and yeah, it was a great series, and one that probably gave me a lot of confidence that I could do it.
It's not without precedent, is it? Where there've been sort of two players from the same county trying to get the same spot in the team, and where England might go one way, it might be the opposite of the way the county's gone. You're the epitome of that story, and
Yeah.
the way that things have changed for Dom. Of course, Dom's changed clubs a couple of times, and Bash is off now on loan for the start of the domestic season. That's a quirky wrinkle for you, isn't it? That you've always been backed by Somerset, where the England journey has been a little bit stop start.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I can only like thank Somerset, I guess, for their kind of belief in me and backing of me, and like I do feel kind of a bit of pressure to kind of like I don't want to let them down, and
Mm.
I want them to that decision to be justified. And, I think I did that last summer, and I'll look to continue to do that this summer. Yeah, but no, I just stress that point about Somerset have obviously put their faith in me, and that means a lot, and something that I guess I feel that I need to not let them down.
And it's not inherently a bad thing either, is it? I mean, if you've got two or three spinners who've done well at test level or pushing for that one spot in English summer, it's rare that more than one spinner plays in England, right? And obviously Australia at the end of the year, and you're on the Ashes tour last time, and you know what that's all about too. That's good for English cricket, right? That you and Shoaib Bashir and Tom Hartley will all be eyeing off that one spot in the team. That's hardly a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing. I think you want competition in every space in the team. That means the England team's in a good place, hopefully, and yeah, that's what I think everyone's ambition in county cricket should be to play for England. That doesn't change for me just because I'm 33. I have the same desire, I guess, as when I was 25, and yeah, obviously some great young spinners around as well. And I've spent a lot of time with Bash, and great, like, so talented, and I'm so excited for what's to come for him, and just want to help him really in
Mm.
terms of um, getting to where he wants to get to. And obviously, I want to be in that place as well, but I don't think
Mm.
that means that we stop helping each other or working together. I think it's he helps me and I help him, and it's a great relationship.
Yeah, a lot better at being that way than being bitter rivals, which is where in the past sometimes things have gone
Yeah,
in that direction. Hey, going back to say we haven't talked about 2019 yet. Can you believe that was 6 years ago? That 6 summers ago. That
no,
this summer that I mean the 92. Why don't we start with the 92 at Lords with the bat
yeah,
opening against Ireland? The quirk of going in as the night watchman and nearly ending up on the honours board for your batting at the home of cricket. I mean, what a
yeah,
weird few days they were after getting bowled out for
yeah.
85 on morning one.
Um, yeah, that game was crazy actually, and yeah, the first day I remember going back to my that was my first test in England, so
Mm.
that was my first taste of Test cricket in England, and I remember going back after day one and thinking I hated that. Like I was like um, I felt so much more pressure at home than I did when I was, say, in Sri Lanka. I think, yeah, the home crowd, and I don't know why, but it just felt different. And so that first day, obviously, we didn't have a good day either, and I bowled like 3 overs and
Mm.
not well, and I was, yeah, so I wasn't particularly happy. But what I had done at the end of that day was face the last over of the day, and I was in bat, and yeah, so I remember having chat with my girlfriend and with a friend from back home as well, and it was kind of like yeah, just go and try and bat 100 balls was what my friend had said to me, and yeah, so I went, and obviously that day was a very hot day, and
Mm.
yeah, it was such a fun day, and I think that was a great reminder of how things can change so quickly in a test match, and that's what's so great about test cricket is you can have an awful day and then you can follow it up with a great day. So it keeps giving you that opportunity to kind of put things right, or if things haven't gone your way. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and when I got out, I wasn't really particularly, like, I wasn't thinking about 100 really. Like, I was just like, couldn't believe that I put in that contribution, and I actually thought, oh, we'll go on and score loads of runs now. And then that didn't really happen either, and I ended up with man of the match for batting, and I was like, wow, that was quite important. But yeah, it wasn't until the next day I think I was driving back, and I was like, 8 more runs and you'd be on the board. Like, what are
Mm.
you doing? So yeah, but no, great experience, and obviously one that was kind of good to have for what led to for the rest of the summer, I guess.
Yeah, and it's that man of the match. They're not playing the next week against Australia in the
Yeah,
first test of the Ashes when Moeen comes back and
yeah,
he doesn't have a good test and he's omitted and you get brought back for Lords. So it's consecutive test matches at Lords for you. And, three in a hurry at the end. You don't quite get the chance to bowl them out in the final half an hour, but for a little while there, it looked like you might. So, walking into Ashes cricket for the first time and having a bit of a presence about you straight away, that must have, again, a bit like that Fifer at Candy, that sense of belonging piece coming together at a really important time in your career.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a good test to be part of. I think after the first test, obviously at Edgbaston, we were on top in that test match, and yeah, to be a part of that was great. And yeah, I think actually I walked off that field again. This is just very much my character, but I was like, I should have bowled them out there. Like I haven't done enough, and I was pretty hard on myself. I remember doing an interview straight off the field. And I remember doing it, and like it was all quite positive, and I was like going no, 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 and I haven't done enough, but and then I was sat in the dressing room after, and I remember thinking that, and like no one really felt what I felt. So I was like, okay, I must have done okay,
I was going to say,
and
we all that night we were all raving about your performance. I remember standing
yeah,
what's the word, the gangway underneath the press box and watching it with a couple of colleagues, thinking, shit, this is a different element to the series that wasn't there the previous week at Edgbaston. Interesting
yeah.
how you can see things so differently internally.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, I think that's just it. Can be my character is kind of to not kind. I'm pretty hard on myself. I think most people would say, and yeah, I'm always sort of thinking, can I have done more? And I guess that's probably a strength of how I've got to where I have. And if I had never had that, would I have even played professional cricket? I don't know. Like so I think I've got to accept that part of me. But yeah, probably need to ease up on myself at times, and then after that, well, that led into the was that the Headingley test next? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, let's go there. Let's put yourself back in the middle. You're walking out 73 to win. Stokes is kind of on one, but not quite on the one that we thought he was on at that
yeah,
stage. And you're in the middle. And I mean, is it maybe the most famous one not out in Test cricket? Probably is if you think about it. Certainly, Stokes's performance is up there for the greatest Test innings, and of course, winning the way that you did in spectacular circumstances to keep the Ashes alive. Take us there. The whole bit, the wiping of the glasses, the tuck around the corner, the run out that wasn't, everything that comes to your mind when thinking about that hour or so that you batted with Ben Stokes that day at Leeds.
yeah. I think well, and again, the same with that test is like what how it led to that. Obviously, getting bowled out cheaply first innings, and kind of everyone had written us off, and yeah, to sort of turn that round. And I think one thing I always remember from that was Stokes's spell of bowling in the third innings. Like I think he just couldn't get the
Mm.
ball out of his hand. He just bowled and bowled and bowled, and yeah, and then obviously the chase was incredible and nerve wracking, and yeah, up and down, and yeah, I think when I was waiting to bat, Rooty said to me, "This isn't over until." Um, you know, ev everyone's out, and I was like, yeah, all right. Sort of thinking this is not a good situation, and then sort of walked out there, and I'm glad I walked out with 73 to win and not or 70 was it 73? I
Something
don't
like
know,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
something like that, and not I don't know 10 because.
Mm.
I feel like it gave that time that sort of time for that partnership to kind of build and kind of knock some of the runs off whilst there was sort of like nothing to lose in my head. Like that was kind of big for me was I was just going out there and I was like, well, to be honest, I went out there thinking if we win this, I'm going to get like 30 odd. Stokes said to me, right, get through the end of this over. And then at the end of that over, he said, right, I'm going to face four or five, and you're going to face one or two every over, and be ready to run two, take it from there. And yeah, I can't believe kind of how it panned out. And as it got closer, it got harder. And obviously that run out thing, I couldn't watch it for ages afterwards because of that run out, because that just ruined it for me. Like I was like, as if like that moment that everyone loves me for could have been so different if that run out had been taken. And it's just like I couldn't get my head around like how sport, I guess the lesson was how much luck is involved in even in really good moments. And then obviously then if you're having a bad moment, how it's fine lines, right? So things could look quite different when things have gone badly as well. And there was sort of a lesson in that for me. But yeah, it kind of, again, me probably being hard on myself, it kind of made me find it difficult to enjoy that moment as much because of that run out. But it's all part of it, and yeah, to get over the line and was special, and yeah, it was an incredible day.
To be at the other end when Stokes, or as Nasser said, cuts away for four. To be there in that split second, it's probably two or three players in the game, right? The bowler, Stokes, who maybe the wicket keeper, Payne, who realises what Stokes has just done, which is cut Cummins away for four, and the adulation and the extraordinary response at the ground there that day, and the way that would go on to become a truly iconic moment. But just in the moment when it happens,
Mm, mm,
the release of emotion and energy. I mean, you can wait a lifetime for something like that, and you're there, and
yeah,
it's happening to you.
yeah, absolutely. Because in the moment we're thinking like, that moment means that we could still win the Ashes, right? At the next test we lose in Old Trafford, so but it keeps it all alive. So I think in that moment is yeah, very special, and just the crowd that day was like something I've never really
Mm.
experienced, and I think it coming off the back of the World Cup stuff made a big difference, just to how cricket was that summer. It's like it felt like such a big deal, and to have two of the final against New Zealand, and then like I'll always remember where I was watching that final, and then people were coming up to me telling me where they were for the
Mm.
Headingley game, and then I'm thinking, oh, where was I for that? And then I remember I was out in the middle with Stokesy batting. So yeah, it was I remember seeing like, and this is weird given how focused I felt, out there. Was I still remember like seeing like a fan like running up and down the aisle, like it was going off in the stadium, and so yeah, it was a cool day definitely, and one that I'll always be thankful to Stokesy for.
You become a national icon. I mean, the wiping of the glasses, right?
Yeah,
The run at the end, the tuck off the hip I mentioned before, that'll live on in cricket folklore for 100 years or more. People will be talking about those moments for obviously the rest of your life, but not just that. This will be stuff that gets talked about for as long as Test cricket is played and enjoyed and taken in as a
mm,
as a thing that we all cherish. I mean,
yeah,
and it's life changing for you, isn't it? I remember going to one of a tailender show in London, and you're reenacting the single in the middle.
yeah.
It's real national hero stuff, right? Like, and I know that things they can't remain that way forever, but that post 2019 and the fact that you helped bowl England to a series leveling victory at the Oval at the very end of the summer as well. But that moment at Leeds, it will go on to be something that you're asked about forever, and will go down rather as one of the most exhilarating moments in the history of the sport. I mean that's a pretty cool thing to know that's always going to be with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that is true. I think when you're playing, you maybe struggle to kind of take that in because you're sort of thinking, what's the next thing? Like, I want to keep playing and not be too up, not to be too down. But I think once, yeah, once it all kind of comes to an end, that's where you really kind of maybe reflect on your career and go, wow, how cool was that? But yeah, I think there's been some. Yeah, there's been some good moments since then. I guess seeing people dressing up as me for Halloween is an interesting one. Know whether that's a compliment or not. But then, yeah, and just some of the things, even going when I went over to Australia, and the fans out there and signing bald heads and that kind of thing is always interesting one. So yeah, no, it's good fun, and that's one thing I love about cricket. It is the fans and the supporters, and I guess the kind of game that it is, and the banter that you have between kind of players and supporters. So yeah, for me, that's an enjoyable part for sure.
Not least the wagon wheel one not out t-shirt that you still see people wearing, and it just feels like 2019 was a summer when so many people found the game for the first time, and
Yeah.
so on. But I mean, then there's the twist, right? Because we can bang on about that for the rest of the interview, but the reality is that it gets a lot tougher for you very quickly, and not just COVID either. From memory, it precedes COVID, doesn't it? Where your Crohn's disease becomes part of the conversation for the first time. You get really sick. Sepsis is part of that as
Mm.
well.
Mm.
And these are all parts of your life that we don't know anything about beforehand, nor should we, I hasten to add. But suddenly, it's not just your fitness, it's your health
Yeah.
that is of real concern. And as we know, sepsis can indeed be fatal. And
Mm.
Crohn's disease, I don't know an awful lot about it other than the sort
Mm.
of headline superficial stuff. But this is something that you have to deal with alongside trying to be a professional athlete.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I got diagnosed with Crohn's when I was 14, so it's been something I've lived with for a long time. And you can go long periods of time without actually having any symptoms or flare-ups. And I had probably a 10 years or so um, where I got things under control and didn't have any issues. And then, yeah, it's been maybe a little bit up and down since then. But yeah, that sepsis one was a low moment, definitely. And sort of to have it on tour in New Zealand where,
Mm.
when you're so far away from home, and it was a bit scary, to be fair. And yeah, but I managed to pull through and then go again.
I mean, without being too morbid about this, but we
Yeah.
all do it, right? When you get crook, you Google stuff, and how can you not, right? It's human nature. Did you have a sense that sepsis does kill people, and that your life might be in jeopardy at the time? Was it ever like that?
I didn't know anything about sepsis at the time,
Mm.
but I remember thinking I'm in a lot of trouble here, and like as it developed, like it just started as like food poisoning, just sickness, diarrhea, that kind of thing, and like a bad fever, and then that kind of progressed. Yeah, I was at the hotel that day. The guys were obviously playing at the ground, and I was speaking to the doctor who was at the ground, saying, "This isn't getting any better," and just being very uncomfortable, not able to settle, and the fever was getting worse. And any time I tried to have any water, it was just coming straight back up. So there was like a point where I was like, "This is serious." And yeah, the doctor came back, um, and then I went to the hospital. I went to like a medical center, and then on to a hospital because they took some tests on heart rate and temperature and
Mm.
these kind of things, and um, yeah, my blood pressure. I think it was all not good, and yeah, there was a moment where I remember like I felt that kind of sleep. I wanted to be asleep, and then I remember I don't know why, but I just remember thinking like I can't fall asleep here. I've got sort of I was fighting something, and then yeah, got to the hospital and they put drip in me and antibiotics in the other arm, and within half an hour, I remember thinking I'm going to be okay now. Like I could feel like I was going to come out of it. So yeah, I don't know. And then since then, I've heard a lot of different cases of like people dying of sepsis, and so then I was like, maybe I wasn't that far away, that what I was feeling was real. So yeah, it was scary, and probably scarier now learning about it afterwards. It's probably got,
Mm.
that you kind of understand what you went through, but yes, it is a very serious thing, and still now I think it's something that people don't know much about, which can, and because it starts as something quite not that serious, it's how quickly it can, and people were kind of quite stubborn, I think, and kind of go, "No, I'm fine, like I'm all right," and that's why it unfortunately kills.
Yeah, there was that traumatic case in the news just last week, about that poor lad who didn't get the antibiotics in time. A 22-year-old who
Mm,
was fit and healthy, and
mm,
just down
mm.
to timing, right? And so grateful that they were able to get that drip and that antibiotics into you when they did, by the
Yeah,
sounds of things.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I don't want to focus too much on your health, but then we're in these lockdown test matches, aren't we, in 2020? And
Yeah.
you're stuck in a hotel room and you're crook again. And like, were there points through that stretch between getting sick in New Zealand and being stuck in a hotel room, um, in that summer of 2020, when you're thinking, I might be stuffed here. It might be that my health just doesn't allow me to do this again the way that I wish to do it.
Like, to be honest, no. I did like just deal with it, whatever it was at the time, and then you're just always thinking, how do I get back? How do I get back? And I think that just shows how much that I wanted to do it. And like, so yeah, no, I'd say I stayed pretty positive. Don't get me wrong, there would have been some dark moments, and stuff. But like I think, yeah, my way of kind of dealing with that is always to look to what's next and what there is positive to do. And yeah, that's kind of what's helped me get through them.
After that long layoff in 2021, you do get back into the England team in Sri Lanka, and it's a series win, 2-0. There's a couple of 7-wicket matches in there for you, a fifer straight away, which, you know, a bit like when you were, I suppose, previously in Sri Lanka, that having cleared that hurdle at test level again straight away, yes, a really long series to come. And by that, I mean the trip to India that immediately followed Sri Lanka. But having had those challenges, what confidence that brought you being able to do it again at the first time of asking?
Yeah, definitely. I think because by that time, I think I had hardly played a game for, I don't know, it felt like, I think it was over a year because of being in lockdown, but not. So I think I played one game actually at the end of the summer for Somerset in the Bob Willis Trophy final
Mm.
after we'd come out of the bubble. But yeah, I basically did 6 test matches of 12 man in the bubble. So in terms of actual, lots of nets and stuff, but like in terms of match games, overs, nothing. So I think that found that a challenging series, that Sri Lanka one, to kind of go from no cricket to playing on wickets that you were going to be like
Mm.
really important to how the team went. And you're going to bowl a lot of overs. So challenging series, but really good one because I got lots of overs. And yeah, India obviously followed that and we won the first test. And I was thinking this is going really well. But yeah, obviously it got harder from there. And but yeah, it was good.
Like you go back to that India series, right? So you referred to being a 15-year-old spinner, and the older bloke's trying to, you know, whack the tweaker out of the attack straight away. And Rishabh has a real good go at that. Day one
Yeah,
or day two at Chennai,
yeah,
has a real big crack at it. First spell goes for millions, but
yeah,
you end up taking 4 wickets that day. You end
yeah.
up helping bowl India out, a famous Test victory for England, the contribution that you made there, and go on to take, I think it's 3, 4 wicket bags in the series. I know that England don't go on to win it, and of course it gets worse the longer you're there.
Mm,
But the
mm,
idea of having someone like Rishabh Pant go, right, I'm going to eat this guy for dinner, and
yeah.
getting out the other end of it and actually finding a way to make a real contribution in an England win. I suppose it goes back to those days being a club cricketer and finding a way to bowl the next ball slower.
Yeah, and I think that's moments like that in my like will probably be something I look back at and be really proud of, and like it's not necessarily something that other people will remember. Whereas Headingley, obviously everyone will, but like that test match, yeah, that first I remember bowling I think 8 overs for 80, and I was like, wow, this is like I've played 2 IPL games. Like this is my first experience of the IPL, but I'm playing in a test match. And yeah, that was tough. And yeah, I think to come back from that, I remember second innings, I found that really satisfying to kind of get make a big contribution to winning that game. And yeah, that was something I'll look back on and be pretty pleased with.
There's a bit of a gap in your career that doesn't kind of make sense out of context now. We're in 21 where England decide to just play quicks against India, right? And it works to an extent. They have some success at Leeds and ultimately they don't win the series. But the framework felt okay at the time, I suppose, to an extent. But thus began the narrative that you weren't being like captain maybe as well as you might have been, and that you didn't have the backing in the way that some spinners really need the backing. And that extends a bit to Australia where you play one test and Warner tries to do what Rishabh does and out of the team, you're part of the side that gets rissoled at Melbourne.
Yeah.
Might it have been the case that you're bowling for your career at Sydney? Get 4 wickets there. I know it's a draw that at least stems the bleeding after what happened at Melbourne. But
Mm.
yeah, I ponder that, looking back now with a few years hindsight, whether had you been hit out of the attack in Sydney, whether they might have moved on before the Bazball
Yeah.
era started, which reignited your career.
Yeah, yeah. I think after, well, probably there was the West Indies tour, wasn't there? And I
Yep.
think after Australia, and I think everyone was probably unsure of where they kind of stood and how they were going to go. And yeah, I think that first test in Australia at Brisbane really difficult. But I think one of the themes probably in my career has been like if I don't start great, then I kind of do like work it out and get better. So. yeah, I feel like even the two games that I played in Australia, like I felt like I bowled better and held my own a little bit more. And yeah, so I think that was good and gave me a bit of confidence. And then going into and then to get picked for West Indies as well. And yeah, and then for Stokesy to ring me up in pre-season and be like sort of talking to me as if I'm going to play in the summer, like that was a big confidence boost. And yeah, just very, I guess, thankful that he was backing me. And yeah, obviously then that summer and well the next year or so was incredible to be a part of.
You end up being a poster child for Bazball, despite the fact that these test matches were ending in like 3 days sometimes, and these massive chases. And from time to time, you weren't like needed that much, really, were you?
Yeah.
But when you were, 10 wickets at Leeds, 5 in either innings, and that felt significant to the summer that it wasn't a one-off at Nottingham the weekend before. And I suppose you had a bit of a preview of what would happen at Notts when you were at Leeds in 19 in that chase, but still that you were going to be their main spinner, even if conditions suggested that maybe a spinner may not be required. You were going to be on the team sheet. They were going to back themselves to have you as the controlling bowler. That would extend to Pakistan, where a couple of forfeits in a couple of wins, which ends up being the crowning glory of that era. I mean, yeah, you must look back at that 9 to 12 month window before you get hurt again as some of the most satisfying cricket of your journey so far.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think we won. I can't remember. It was like nine and or well, we won 5 out of 6 in the summer,
Yep.
wasn't it? And then three in Pakistan.
Yep, that's it.
And then yeah, so it was a lot of like test wins, and obviously off the back of 1 in 17, it was like what the hell? Like something that we thought was so hard to do was just happening all the time. So yeah, it was such a cool period to be in that team, and yeah, learned a lot from Baz and Stokesy about all sorts of things, and yeah, just like really am fond of that time and of that kind of team and being part of it.
Do you think it is helpful that you are so different to those two blokes? Like, do you think there's something in that about the opposites attract to a degree, about the way
Yeah,
that you present, the way that you guys look compared to each other,
yeah,
all other various things that means that there's something about that energy that just works with you and Stokes and McCullum?
yeah. Well, I'd like to think so. Yeah, I think we are very different, and like Baz has challenged me massively on like how I kind of see the world, I guess. And he's such a positive person, and yeah, I've loved like kind of spending time with him, and yeah, he'll challenge me in that way for sure, which I really enjoy. And yeah, I think I felt like they made me feel like quite an important part of the dressing room, and they don't always ask for me to kind of contribute to when we chat, and yeah, I'd usually say something stupid, and everyone would enjoy it. So yeah, no, it was good fun, and something, yeah, that I'll definitely love to look back on.
It's a nice little anecdote in the Bazball book, isn't it? That Stokes throws to you to give the last words before going out before a
Yeah.
session or whatever. Like it isn't the vibe that you would expect based on your public perception, right? So how he's been able to get the best out of you, and then that must have been crippling frustration of what happened in 23, where on the
Mm.
cusp of an Ashes series that had, I suppose, greater expectation than any going back to 2005, and injury denying you there at the final hurdle, hurting yourself against Ireland, and a similar thing kind of happening in India in the next winter. That those two big set piece marquee events, you've not really been able to have much of a
Yeah.
presence in when they've last played against them.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was obviously really disappointing to miss out on. And yeah, but again, even the way that Baz and Stokes dealt with that, they still made me feel part of what was happening in the summer. And I got to a couple of games, and yeah, I just felt like I was still part of that team, even though I wasn't able to play. And I think that was that's a big strength of that dressing room is how they make you feel. And yeah, it was hard to miss, but I was just glued to watching it, and because you just feel so invested in it. Whereas I think before, if I'd missed a series through injury, I would kind of want to get as far away as possible from it. But I felt really invested in what was happening, and yeah, just was, yeah, watching watching it on for sure.
It kind of brings us to where we are today, right? So the fact that you're able to bang the door down and get back in the test team over the winter in Pakistan, couple more 7-wicket matches, just being able to get back at that juncture. Now, who knows what will happen in the next 8 weeks, right? Like, there's a long way to go between
Yeah,
now and the first test matches that England play in the summer, one against Zimbabwe, and then the 5 against India, and then, of course, the 5 against Australia in Australia. But, I mean, how
yeah.
do you frame that up in your own mind now, knowing that you've got this run up? No one really knows where it's going to land. And the last time that you played for England was, I know that the side ended up losing the series, but you were able to get back in and play a fairly major role and to be
Mm.
blunt, look like the England number one again. You
Mm,
looked like
mm.
the England number one when you played in that series. I mean, how do you evaluate that, looking back at the most recent series you played, and how that might inform how you think about the next 2 crucial months in your career?
Yeah, I guess it's just exciting, the next part, because we don't know what's going to happen. And yeah, I think I'm quite realistic about maybe how they're seeing it. I'm only guessing a little bit, but just from when I, have spent time around the team, and yeah, I feel like I kind of know where I stand to a point. And but what's exciting is, can I kind of change that a little bit, by my performances with Somerset. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm very focused on just bowling my best. That's what I find. That's where I think the excitement is for me, is can I get, be bowling my best and taking lots of wickets and putting in winning performances for Somerset. And then whatever that leads to, it leads to, I think I'm in a position where they know what I offer. I still want to kind of improve what I think, or what they think that is, and try and offer even more, and improve and keep getting better. So I feel that my focus is just always Somerset, and performing well, and then if I'm picked again, then great. I'll give it my best, like I always do.
It must be reassuring as we kind of wind our conversation down now, knowing exactly that everybody knows what you can do and you can win test match for England. You've done that, in
Yeah.
different parts of the world, so that you got your destiny in your own hands. If you bowl well early in the summer and you can get yourself back to that number one spot in time for India, let's say, and indeed Australia, then if your bowling continues to be as you wish it to be at its best yet in your mid-30s, this could be still the most exciting chapter of your career yet to be written.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would love to hope so. That's what I'm thinking about. And I think 33 for a spinner is still quite young. So I still feel like I've got plenty of cricket to come. And the thing we were talking about earlier about patience. I think that's a big thing for me. And over the next few years, I think even if I didn't play for England for 3 more years, I'd be 36. But that doesn't mean that there's not a 4-year career. I think for me, it's always just trying to keep developing my game, keep bowling well, and not get too distracted by anything else really. And that's how I'll go about it.
Brilliant. Jack Leach, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you for being such
Cheers.
a giving guest over the last hour or so. Very best of luck
Thank you.
for the next couple of months. And let's hope that we see you in that England cap again at some stage through 2025.
Cheers, Adam. Thank you.